evening. How has been your week?
Good. How was yours?
Great. I did a lot of recording. I went to the French, some nature in France. I'm traveling back to Uganda on Monday. Oh, I see my mic is so high. Let me reduce. I think it should be better now. I want to record some water, some source. You have seen a bit in the intro, some of the visuals. I use them to create the title. So I use the texture of the water within the letters. So that's what we are going to learn today. I started a poll. So I want to know which editing software you want to learn. So today we are going to see about live chats, viewers polls, and Q&A sessions, as well as the basics of editing. We want to be able to create an intro for your program. So we are going to see the different elements we need to know to be able to edit. So concerning the live chat for YouTube, I just show you a few slides how you can actually connect on YouTube and ask. There's some handy help for YouTube, so which explains a bit how to use the live chat. Because it's all about getting your audience hooked to your program. So we could imagine having a program. We could imagine having a performance, the performance of your play, and possibly at the end of the performance you could have some discussion with the audience. So here I have a split screen of myself because I'm alone, but you could have the cast or element of the crew part of this split screen. You could have the director, you could have different people of the crew within this split screen, answering question from the audience at the end of your production. That would be somehow quite interesting for the audience. They would watch the play, and then at the end they could possibly ask you questions and you could answer to them. So these are some help from YouTube to know how to handle the live chat and the different possibilities to create a live poll or a Q&A. I think you will go through the slides later. You will still be able to access the slides. So I wanted to show you within your OBS how to be able to control the chat, because once you're broadcasting on YouTube, you will control your broadcasts with your software, with OBS, but then you still need to be able to monitor the live chats. If you have a single screen, it will be handy to have an interface within OBS to monitor your live chat. So there's that app, which is a free app that you can download, and you can integrate your live chat to OBS if you follow the instructions. So they will ask you, do you want to use YouTube or any other software? For example, Twitch or Twitter. So you can select, in this case, we can select YouTube. Then you will select your accounts. It will link you directly to your Gmail account, to your Google account. So you can select your YouTube account. And then you're going to sign in to this Stream Elements, that app that enables you to see your live chat within OBS. So they will ask you this, if you allow Stream Elements to access your Google account, you will type yes. Then it will recognize you automatically. You will click on activate. So if you want to earn money through that, you can also link this to a PayPal account, but in that case, we just skip it. And then you download the app. Then you continue to follow the instructions. Automatically, it will detect OBS. And it will directly create some new YouTube chats on the right side of your interface, of your OBS interface. So you will be able to monitor, once you connect to YouTube, you will be able to monitor your live chat. So I don't know, I'm seeing in the chat we have some challenges. I don't know if Fiona, you can go back to the original names. I don't know why the original names are all replaced by Freda. So let's see about the poll. I see that most people want to use, okay, I started a poll. I think, how many people? 18 participants, 18% of the participants answered the question. My question was, which editing software do you want to learn? Should it be Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve? Can you all see the poll in Zoom?
No, I cannot see the poll.
Maybe Fiona, you can help us to. So on the downer part of your Zoom, you should have poll and quiz. Or on your chat, you don't see any poll in your chat, or?
No.
Maybe the ones who answered the question could guide us. I see there's a number of people who answered the question. 3 participants. Who answered the poll right now? Because I see a number of you answered the poll. Which
Yeah,
participant?
I answered, but it came as a pop-up on my phone, so I clicked on it. It came out as a pop-up on the Zoom.
Yeah, you don't have any pop-up, the others?
No.
No, I don't have.
I can see another participant answered. Do you see on your lower menu of Zoom, do you see a poll icon? Okay, you have, if you look at the chat, there's Theodora who is guiding us. Click more on the right hand side and select poll quizzes. Does it help? So on the lower right part of your Zoom, you have more. You click on it and you might see polls and quizzes.
No, I don't have. I have caption, records, docs, notes, whiteboard, apps. We reset to default. That's all. In more.
Can you click on more?
Yes, I talk about in that icon. When I click
Okay.
in more, I have caption, record, docs, maybe in documents, notes, whiteboard, application reset to default. That's all.
Yeah, I think that is it. There should be another window that appeared as soon as you entered the session. So that window could be below your main window.
I find it in more at the end of the row under the presentation on the right.
Okay, so there are six participants who answered the question. 5 selected Adobe Premiere, 1 DaVinci Resolve.
I'm sorry, I answered in the chat because I don't see the poll.
Okay.
I read Adobe Premiere.
Okay. So meaning you all have Adobe Premiere? Or you can have access to it. I thought DaVinci Resolve was somehow kind of better because it is free, but it is fine. We can go on with Adobe Premiere. Or we could go both of them. We could check out both of them. But let's start with Adobe Premiere then. I see there are more messages in the... Okay. Okay, all in all, it's the same kind of technique. Let's start with DaVinci, then we will switch to Premiere.
Okay.
Let me end the poll right now and share the results. Can you see the results here?
Yes.
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 Okay, so there's a big majority for Adobe Premiere, but in the chat it is a bit more DaVinci. Okay, so let's check that out. So let me start with DaVinci. In OBS, you have the possibility of sharing your desktop, which I'm going to do now. So I'm starting DaVinci Resolve. We are going to create a new project. Once DaVinci starts, you have your previous projects as well as a potential new project. It is called Untitled. You can double click on Untitled. I'm going to skip the update. So the first thing to do is importing the medias. By medias, I mean videos, audios, pictures in the project. So on the lower down part, it's written media here. At the very down part, left. So you click on media, you can see that you have media, cut, edit, fusion, color, fairlight, and deliver. Today we are going to see media, edit, and deliver. So once you're on media, on the left, upper left part, you have your desktop and your hard disks, and you can scroll through them. In that case, I'm going to go into what I shot these past few days about water, the source I shot. And here, I keep on clicking in my folders, and I can see all the sequences I shot. So it's good because there's already a preview. If I click on one, I have it here now, and I can play it back. So in that case, I was interested in textures, moving textures. I did abstract and close-ups and macro shots. So there's this one, there's this one. I used some of the filters I showed you last time to have some special effects directly as I was recording. There's this one. So you can see that once I click on a clip, it appears just on the right. And here I have play here. And it starts playing from the very beginning, right? I can scroll to the middle, and it keeps on playing. I can go to the next one, to the next one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right-click below all these clips and to create a new bin, which I will name videos. Then I will create another bin, which I will name audios. Then another bin, which I will name pictures. What is very important is to be able to classify very well the project, so as you can retrieve all the medias very easily. Then we could create one which could be called titles. So I'm going to double left click on the video, and here I could create subfolders such as water, for example, black and white. And then another subfolder that could be called watercolored. So I can drag and drop my clips in the right folders, right? So I'm going to drag and drop this one to the watercolored. I dragged and dropped one clip, as you saw, into one of my subfolders. On my left part here, I have my subfolders that I created. So if I click on master, it goes back to the root of the folders. I still have my audio, pictures, titles, videos. So inside videos, we have subfolders, water colored and water black and white. So I'm going to drag and drop some few clips. I can scroll easily through all my library, all the footage I shot. Or we can just check a few of these clips. There's this one. So let's assume we want to use that one. I'm going to drag and drop it down. It is now it appears into my water black and white folder. There is also this one here. I'm going to do the same. I drag and drop it here. Then in my other folder, I'm going to, so in the watercolor we have this one. Then I want to insert maybe this one. I drag and drop it. Then I have my audio here, my audio folder. I'm going to check what I have in my in my hard disk. So I have this. I have this. I have this. So basically it's the sound, the original sound of water, but then I applied some effects to change a bit the sounds. So we can select what we want and then drag and drop them. There's this one. Okay. Now in my title part, I created the title of the lesson in another folder. So I'm going to scroll through it. So that was the title I created with After Effects. I'm going to drag and drop it here. So I have something in my titles, audios, videos, pictures. Let's add some picture. I go back to my former folder. I have a number of pictures of water. Sorry, I'm going to get some from another folder. There's a lot of things into that other folder, so it's a bit slow. Okay. So there's this one, which could be interesting. And then there are some things like that. Some glasses that I shot in church. Okay. So now once we have dragged and dropped, we can go to we can click on edit on the lower part, on the lower, on the middle of the lower part. Here there's edit. We still have all our visual on the top left part. So for example, we have the first sample of water. So now what is important is to select which part of the clip we want to use. So this clip is 8 minutes clip, because I shot in super slow motion, so somehow even if I shot maybe 20 seconds, it is a very, very long clip. So now to select the part you want, you have some icons here, which is the mark in and mark out. You can use a shortcut, which is I or O. I, if you click on I here on that part, it will select the clip from this part. And if you click O, it will select up to this part. So I and O, like in and out. Once you've selected it, you can drag and drop it on your timeline. So automatically, it creates video 1 and video 2. So you can scroll through and you can play your sequence from here. You can see the red arrow that's lit up. I'm now playing back the clip on the timeline. There is, at the moment, we have one video, one audio. We've selected, you can see some measures. We have selected 1 minute and 12 seconds of that clip. If I press the space button, la barre d'espace. I'm not sure if it's the right name in English. The space button, it stops the clip or play it back. But you can still use the arrows or the square to stop and play it back. So let's assume that we want to use this at the start. We want to use it maybe for like 5 seconds, and we want to cut to another visual. So let's assume we want to put a bit of color. So I go into my watercolor folder. I'm going to play it back. And then let's assume I want it to start from the middle. I put in I, or I use this to select the middle part of the clip. Then I go a bit further, then I select I press O, or I click here, mark out. And then again I drag and drop it. So we assume we want it to start at second number 5. I'm going to play back. You can see these numbers are running here. I can use the arrow of my keyboard. If I use my left arrow, it will rewind. If I use my right arrow, it will forwards. So the good thing is you can be very precise with that, because every time you use the arrows, if you press once the rewind arrow, the back arrow, it will rewind of 1 frame. So remember, we said at the first lesson, we are going to work mostly in 25 frames per second, because that's the standard in Africa and Europe. So here we said, so it means that there are 25 frames per second. Here we want to stop at 5 seconds. So I'm going to rewind. We are at 508. Keep on rewinding. Okay, we are at exactly 5 now. So I'm going to double click on that clip that I selected. And once I am on that clip, you can see that there's like a square and then a sound curve. If I press on the clip, if I drag and drop the full clip like that, it will drag and drop both picture and sound. In that case, I only want picture, so I'm going to click and keep on pressing on the square and to drag and drop it on video 2, or I could drag and drop it on video 1. Let's see if I drag and drop it on video 2, what it does. I'm going to rewind fully using this, and I press play. You can see it just did a simple cut from one to the other. Now, the clip I inserted it on video 2. Video 2 is the upper layer. It works the same as a software to edit pictures. The layer, or the track in that case, video 2 is an upper track. The fact that this track is above the first one, it means that it's going to hide the one below, and we will only see that track. Now, if I drag and drop the clip which was on video 1 to video 3, at the same duration we will see that clip, because it is now above it. So I'm going to cancel and to go back the way it was. So we have 2 video tracks, 1 audio track, because I only dragged and dropped the video without the sound of the second visual. Now let's assume, because I was recording slow motion, there's no sound below. As you can see, you do not hear anything, right? So now I don't really need that audio. So I'm going to right click and you see that it's written link clips. I'm going to left click on link clips. So now the video and the audio of that clip, the black and white clip, are not linked anymore. By default, when you drag and drop your full visual, both of them are linked. So when you move them, it moves, it keeps the synchronization between the two, yeah? Now I have unlinked them, so when I click on the audio, the sync, it's not sync anymore. But in that case, because there's no audio, I'm just going to delete it. I just press delete. Sorry. I just press delete and I have removed the audio. So I'm going to insert, I'm going to go into the audios and I'm going to play this one, Water 10, for example. And I'm going to insert it. So I can scroll. As you see, I'm using this to scroll through the clip to select which part I want. So let's assume I want that part. I can stop it, create my in point, mark in with I or pressing this symbol. Then I play up to when I want to stop. I press my out or mark out. Then I drag and drop on the timeline. So if I play back now, that is what it does. Now the sound is stopping because my selection was very short. So I want to extend it. I just go at the edge of the clip and I keep on pulling it out to the right and it keeps on expanding. So I can go back to the start of the sequence and press play. We have our sound throughout the visuals. So now when we click on a visual, on the upper right we have different settings. We have, the first one is transform. You can see that it's written zoom, position. So if I change, you can see that it's going to zoom out. I cancel. Automatically, it's adapted to my settings. Automatically, when you drag and drop a clip, let it be a very big clip in resolution, let's say 4K, a very high resolution, or a small resolution, it will adapt automatically with Resolve. It will fill your screen. So if I want to zoom more on it, I increase that setting. If I want to zoom out, I decrease. So I go back to the beginning. Let's assume that I want it to start with black, fully black, a very small square, and the square will zoom and fill the screen. So I'm going to click. You first need to click on your layer, on your track. In that case, remember we have two tracks, video 1, video 2, or two layers, video 1, video 2. The downer layer is the visuals black and white, which starts the video. I click on that downer layer. It is red, meaning it is selected. If I click on the upper layer, you can see that it is now the upper layer selected. So I click on my downer layer, which is on video 1. I go to transform on the upper right, and I reduce the size. I keep on zooming out, yeah? Up to 0. Now, here is the trick. You need to create an in point, a keyframe. So I have clicked on that small dot here on the right of the zoom X, Y. It has become red. If I play now, you can see that we don't see anything, right? Now we see the second visuals. What I want is, before the second visuals appear, I want the first visual to fill the screen. So I'm going to use the arrow to go frame by frame. If I click on my left arrow, it will be black. If I click on my right arrow, it will fill. Meaning, if I click once on my left, that is the last frame before we reached that yellow visual. So this frame is the frame I want my first visual to fill the screen. So I am going to change the setting of the zoom now. I'm going to go and fill it. I can click on one, I can double click and press 1 and press enter. Automatically it will put 1, right? Automatically it's creating a keyframe here. So if I rewind, let me now go to the start and play. So the keyframes are very important. It is what differs from a software for video editing to a software such as Photoshop for picture, for designing. Because now we have that notion of time within the video, yeah? So I have put, remember, I created a keyframe clicking on the dots next to my zoom parameter. At first, I had put 0. Then I came to second number 424, and then I changed the value of my zoom. Automatically, it created another keyframe. Now, the software calculates the in-betweens. Each frame is now animated. I can do so with other settings. So if I click on this layer, again, I have my transform, whereby we have seen the zoom, what it does. We also have position. If I change it, you can see that it can move its position. The X is horizontal position. The Y is vertical position. Then I have rotation angle, anchor points. So rotation angle, let's assume we want it to turn around. We could go to the start. We click on this dot here, rotation angle. Then we go again on 4:24, 4 seconds and 24 frame, and I'm going to change the rotation angle to 360. If I rewind, we will see that it zooms in as it turns. If I play back, that's the effect. So maybe we want to move the upper clip because maybe it appears too fast. So as when we play back, it creates that effect. Stabilize a bit, and then maybe at 9 seconds, we might want it to fade to the upper clip. So here I've used my arrows again. I see here the duration, the timing, so I want it at 9 seconds. I go here. I'm going to drag and drop, as simple as that. I drag and drop my clip at second 9, my upper clip. I click on it. I'm going to click on transform and cropping and dynamic zoom. Then I see, so some of the features in DaVinci Resolve are not activated when you download the free version, but most of them are available in the free version. So that's the beauty. This software is free. You can do a lot with it. So when you click on it, is everyone okay? Are you all okay?
I am okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are
Yes, we
okay.
are.
All right, cool. So let me go back to my 9 second. We have composites. Composite is, we see there's composite mode and then there's opacity. So the opacity setting, if we reduce it, if we put it at 0, it basically reveals the entirety of the layers below, of the donor layer. If I go to 100, you see what it does. So here at second 9, we are going to put a keyframe. I click here. Good thing, when I click on it, I have my red activated. I know that that keyframe is activated. So I am going to second, let's say I want to do a transition from the black and white to that color within 4 seconds. We're at 9 seconds, so I'm going to go to second 13. I just scroll like that. I see that I'm almost there. Then I use my left arrow, second 13. I click on it to be sure this is the visual we are working on. And then I put my opacity. I can just double click and type 100. This is always like that. Most settings are between 0 and 100, especially the opacity. So let me play back from second 9. It has faded from one to another. Now, if I click here on that small curve on the visual, it opens this. You have the same settings, but now you can see them visually. So instead of modifying them up, you can just drag and drop them. You can modify your fade. If you want a very long fade, I just do that. I can expand my clip and I could do a very long fade. So if I play back, the first fade was very short, and now you can see that it goes from one to another very, very slowly. Let's assume we want a very fast fade. Just do the opposite. You take your upper, you click on that upper point, red point, and you can pull it to the left. So here, if I play back, the fade is very fast. Now, I click again on that curve here on the visual to see better my tracks. I have 2 tracks. I have video 1, video 2. I see that the idea was that the letters in my title, I have this, right? Lesson 4, Interactive Elements, Basic of Editing. The idea was to have a texture within these letters. So I'm going to drag and drop this title onto a new track, which is video 3 track. So if I rewind, it is just a black background with this, what I created with After Effects. You could just draw something, I mean, write something on a piece of paper, or you can create with any other software. But what I want to say, you could even take a picture of your handwriting, for example, to make a title. Then you take a picture of your handwriting, then you import it in the software, and you can try to play around with it. So I have my video 3 here. Because it's above, this is what we see. The other visuals are not seen, right? Now I created a 10-second title, but though I want it to, my whole loop, let's assume I want my whole loop to be 30 seconds. I'm going to rewind a bit. These elements are animated. Once they stop, once the animation stops, I'm stopping my cursor, and I'm going to cut. Here, there are some tools here. I have been using the arrow tool, selection tool, which the shortcut is A. There's also the razor tool, blade tool. The shortcut is B. Every time you go to a new tool, you can see that the shortcut is written. So here, if I press B, it selects my razor, which is to cut, razor blade, yeah? If I press A on my keyboard, it's very important, the shortcuts, because you can work very fast like that. I press A, I move my thing. I press B, I can cut. So what we wanted was to elongate the title. Basically from second 5 and 17 frames up to second 10, my title is not animated, and that's what I want to make longer. So I am going to the right frame, which is 5 seconds 17. I'm selecting my blade edit tool, my razor tool, my tool to cut. Then I cut. I just click on my left click on the frame I selected. Then I use now my selection tool. I select what I have cut. Then I copy. Using shortcuts is way faster, so copying is Ctrl-C on Windows. So I'm going to Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V and Ctrl-V and Ctrl-V, meaning I am pasting, I keep on pasting the same thing. So now if I play, I have my title, which is above all my visuals. So what I wanted was to fill textures into my letters. So if I click on, I'm going to select all of this, all my title, and I'm going to go to composite or composite in English. I'm not sure the accent. Composite, we can play with opacity as we have seen. You see it shows my donor layer if I go to 0, but you can as well use, here it is on normal. I have so many different possibilities here. There is add. You can see when I press add what it does. When I go on add, color, we don't see anything. So I advise you to check that out, just to play around with these composite modes. In that case, I'm going to use the one called multiply. That's the one I used before to create the title. So here, if I play back, remember my donor layer started with that animation. It was scrolling, zooming and all that, but in fact I might not need all that. So I am going to go back to click on my donor layer, to go to transform. I go back at the start and I'm going to remove the keyframes I had put. I simply press on the red keyframes that I had put, and it goes back to the original setting, which was the zoom is now normal. So if I play back, what does it do? We can see that inside the letters, the texture we have put below is now filling up the letters. So we can do the same with the audio. What I want to say is the same technique for the audio, the cut, the razor tool, fading. So let's assume that we want the start to fade in. At the very beginning, it starts with a black, right? So we want to do the same with the sound. So I go back to towards the beginning. I click on my audio layer, left click, and I have these settings up. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to create a keyframe and to go to -100. Now, possibly I want the fade to the duration to be 5 seconds. I go to 5 seconds and I go to my volume, I put it to 0. I double click and I put 0. Then I press enter. So you can see, even you can see visually that it's created that. So now the fade is very short because the value that I put at the beginning, -100, is very, very low. So I can increase a bit, and as I increase, you can see what it does on my curve down. So if I go to probably -30, it would be a better fade in. So now the in and out that we saw when we want to select our layers is the same thing on our timeline. We are in the edit part here, and this is called a timeline. A timeline is made of tracks, video tracks and audio tracks. So this is our timeline. So I want my animation, my video to be to end at 15 seconds, for example. I'm going to press O, or I could have pressed on mark out. Meaning, when I'm going to export that, it will create a file, a video file from 0 to 15 seconds. So to do that, I click on Deliver. Once I click on Deliver, you can see that at 15 seconds, after 15 seconds, it is not highlighted. So we are all good. We are going to export from 0 to 15. In my render setting here, you can see that there are two settings, entire or in-out. By default, it's always in in-out range, so it will export a video of that duration. So here on my left part, I can change the name. I'm going to call it intro title. I'm going to browse to select the location I want it to be created. So I want it to be in my live streaming folder. I go to lesson 4. I go to exercise. I'm going to create a new folder, exercise. And then I save it inside intro title DaVinci. I press save. So here we can see the file name is there, the location. we can see the format. In that case, we don't want to change that format. You have so many possibilities, but you have to know that this codec here, H.264, is somehow the one we will use mostly if we want to be able to play that file with most laptops. This is the easiest. You can select H.264. We can leave auto for the encoder. Our resolution is right. That's what we want, full HD, 1920 by 1080. Our frame rate is good, 25. We all live on auto. We could change settings, but in this case, it is good for our broadcast. That's what we want. We want full HD, 25 frames per second. Quality is best, so meaning that we will have a good quality. Then we are going to click on Add to Render Queue. Or we could click on Audio to check out the audio. This is also, you don't need to touch this setting. This is good enough. So you just click on Add to Render Queue down. And here you can see that something appeared on the upper right of your render queue. You're just going to click on Render All. Click on it, and then it exports the video in one file. So now, if I go to my oh, you can't see anymore, but that's okay. Let me stop share. Do you have any question at that point? Is everyone okay?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should I do the same with Premiere, with Adobe Premiere?
Yes.
I don't know
yes.
your level with editing software, so I don't know if you need a very complex lesson or if you need like an introduction to editing.
No, the
An
same way you
introduction.
started, I think. Introduction for most people.
Yeah.
Can we go
Okay.
one program at a time, please?
Yeah. So what should I do? Should I continue with the software I was showing you, or should we do the same with Adobe Premiere?
Maybe we should do the Adobe Premiere in another lesson, if everybody agree.
So on my side, we can
Yeah,
do
also,
another exercise to this DaVinci, so we can do Adobe Premiere next week.
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So what would you like to know with DaVinci? Let me share again my DaVinci. I go back to Edit. Right now, we have seen how to cut. We have seen the different tracks. We have seen some few settings. I think for next week, so DaVinci, as I was saying, let me go back to, am I sharing or not here? Yes.
Not right now.
I am not sharing, okay. So I think the lesson for next week will be for you to download DaVinci. So you just have to type DaVinci Resolve on your Google, and then you can download the software. and then you can do for me a few seconds showing me how you transit the same exercise as the first lesson with OBS, but now with DaVinci. You can select your subject, you can use your own videos, your own footage, or you can use other footage that you downloaded. You just show me how you go from one scene to another scene, one clip to another clip, and to play around with the sound. How does it sound?
Can I ask something?
Yes, please.
The audio that you put in DaVinci for the water in the beginning of the lesson, is this the original audio from your video, or it's a sample of audio of water? I just asking that because you just said it, that we can use our own video and our own audio, but can we also mix it, some of the sample, downloaded sample, free, of course?
Yeah, I could share with you some few samples.
No, that's okay. I just ask, can for the assignment we have to film some video, or we can mix some video with audio, then audio that is download already.
Yeah, you can download, or you can use your own videos or audios, as long as there is audio and video.
There is compatible, exactly. Compatible. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me share again DaVinci. Now, if I play that audio, let me go to the original audio. I'm going to import more. So I'm going back to my media. I am now going to use the original recording of the water. So it is here. So I am going to import it and put it in my audios. I go back to the editing. I have it here. So I'm going to select, I'm going to replace the first audio I had put by the new one. What I want to show you here is what you can do with audio. So I click on it, I play. This is just normal, right? So here on the upper right, I have my volume. I could increase it. You can see what it does below. Basically, it just increased the volume. The best for you to learn is to explore the software. So here, as soon as you click on a video track, you can change the setting of a video track. As soon as you click on an audio track, you can change the settings of the audio track. So here I have clicked on my audio track, and I can change things like the pitch. If I play now, you can see what it does. You can hear what it does. This is the original. Then if I go towards the left, it's going to be more bass. If I go to the right, it's more, the pitch is going higher. I could enable the equalizer, and here, by default, it's a straight line. But you can modify of course, the lower I go, the less I hear. Now the left is the bass, the right is I'm not sure of the word in English, but it's the higher pitch notes. So the higher I go to the right, the high notes will be heard more. You also have Fairlight. Fairlight is on my downer parts. So we have seen the media parts. We have seen the edit parts. Now, if you want to enhance colors, you have a color mode. If you want to enhance animation, you have a fusion mode. And if you want to enhance sound, you have a Fairlight mode. So on the Fairlight mode, you have, once you click on it, you have a lot of possibilities. But it's a bit too complex now to use that. So you can remain in the editing part, and you can still play with these settings on the upper right in the audio. You have at least equalizer, as I showed you, the pitch, and the pan is basically, if I go to the left, you can see that it's only on the left part. If I go to the right, only on the right speaker. If I be on 0, both left and right speakers will play the same volume.
I just have to try, and after I will find them. I could try. I could find some question. Now I don't know what to ask.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
I mean, I have to try first.
Sure.
For now, everything is clear, but I guess some questions will appear, maybe.
Okay, that's good.
Now I
Yes,
have a
teacher.
question.
Yes, please go ahead.
I have a questions.
Okay, you
Let's-
go first.
How did you like the? Okay, thank you, darling. How did you like that word? That word listen for. How did you like it?
I didn't get your question, sorry.
I'm asking you that. How did you like write that word? Listen for. I don't know how to write it using this app.
I used Adobe After Effects.
Are you getting me, please?
Yes, I'm getting you. Are you the one which is currently on, or the one that I use, the animated one? All in all, I use the Adobe After Effects because I used Adobe software actually. I used Premiere and After Effects. So I think next lesson I will show you how to animate with possibly with Fusion, since the software is free. Fusion is part of DaVinci Resolve, so I think we will explore a bit Fusion, or we can as well do it with Adobe After Effects.
Which Adobe are you using?
Pardon?
I don't know which type of Adobe you are using.
It is
Used
called
for writing that.
it's called Adobe After Effects. After Effects. It is the software to animate, to do some animation. I could let me share my screen right away. Let me open the software. I am sharing my screen now. I hope I saved it. Yes. Okay. So, can you see well?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
So this was very simple. I did it in a minute. I have 3 layers, as you can see on my down right. I'm going to remove the eye, all eyes on the left. Once you remove the eye, it hides the layers. So I'm putting back lesson 4. So lesson 4, I just typed lesson 4. I'm going to redo it actually. I create a new composition. Unfortunately, Adobe After Effects is a bit more complex, but let's try. I create a new composition. Okay, let me just create a new file. Once you open your software, File, New Project. I don't change. So that's your interface. That's the way it looks. Straight away, you need to create a new composition. So you go to Composition, New Composition. In that case, I want an HD, a full HD, the way it is right away. 1920 by 1080. I can name my composition by animation. Title. We see the frame rate, we stay on that frame rate, 25. Resolution full. You have your duration down here, which I leave at 10 seconds. I press OK. So I have my black space. Here is my timeline, somehow. I am going to click on my type tool or my text tool here, and I just click here, and I'm going to write lesson 4. I'm going to select what I wrote. On my right part, I can see the settings. This is the font I am using. I can change and put a bigger font. Especially when you want to superimpose with textures, moving textures, or change the colors, a bigger font is always better. I'm going to increase the size. You can see here there's the size. Here there's also, below here, you can increase or decrease the spacing between the letters. So I can increase my size, for example. Then I click on my selection tool. Here you can see the interface of the software. You have your menus up, you have all your tools up. Here is the selection tool. Once you go on a tool, you can wait a bit and it will show you what it is. Zoom tool, end tool. In that case, we only need selection tool and text tool. So I click on my selection tool and I click on my text. I keep on clicking. I just press on my left button and I can move it. Once I release that button, it stays where it is. So this is my first layer, lesson 4. I'm going to click again on my text tool and create another layer. Automatically it creates layers. So I'm going to put whatever I want. Interaction, interactive tools. I select Control A, you know, it's the same shortcut in all software. Control A is to select. Or you can double click. It selects everything. Then I'm going to change my size and my font. I keep the same font, but I change the look of the font. With most fonts, you can change the look. You have settings like regular, medium, bold, etc. So I'm going to choose light. So the look is the same, but of course you can see it is much less fat. Then I could duplicate my layer. I do Control D, or I do Edit and Duplicate. But in that case, I go fast. I do Control D. It has duplicated. Now I can click on it, and with my arrows on my keyboard, I just go down. As I go down, I can see that it's moving down. Then I can change. Basics of editing. So the idea is to start from black and to have these letters to animate them. I just did something very, very fast. So I went into my window, and here you have so many things, but I selected presets. Let me see where they are. Effects and presets. You press on it, and on your right parts they appear. So here I click on animation presets, and then text, and then animate in. So in my animate in, there are different possibilities. There is fade up and flip, fade up characters, so many possibilities. So you see, I go back to my timeline down. Huh? I have my 3 layers. I click on lesson 4. I go to the start of my timeline at 0. Click on lesson 4. I select, for example, fade up characters. I drag and drop it on my layer, where at the start of my layer, and now it disappears. If I go, you can see that it created automatically this animation. Upper right of the software is the preview. So I can play, and we see the results. I click once, it goes back. So I'm going to remove the eye of my second and third layer and play back. That's what it did. So if we click here, we can see the settings of the animation on that small triangle on the left of the name of my layer. I click on text and I click on animator 1. You can see that it created keyframes here. It created a keyframe of 0 at the start and 100 at the end. I'm going to remove that animator. I click on animator, I delete. I press delete. Now it is normal. It goes back to the way it was. I can try out other presets. Animate in. If I select this blinking cursor typewriter, check. I drag and drop it. And this is what it does. I cancel, Control Z. I'm going to show you another one. So remember, it's in Effects and Presets, Animation Presets, Text, Animate in. So I have all these possibilities here. I'm going to select that one. And I press play. Here it is. So let's assume that I did the same thing with the other layers. Okay, let me do it with the other layers. So I activate, I press on the eye on my second layer. I go back to the beginning and I have to time when it's going to appear. So I keep on checking a bit. It goes once my first layer is settled. Let's say around here, that's when I want the second one to appear, interactive tools. So I click on interactive tools, I'm at the right place, I select another preset. Let's try pop buzzwords. I press, click on it and drag and drop it on my right layer, on the one I want. You have to be careful because it can go to another layer. You keep on maintaining. You're on your good layer, you're at the right time, you drop it. But that's what it does. It's not really interesting, that one.
Can
So
you
I cancel. Sorry?
Can you
Let me go to the chat. Most probably, but somehow I use mostly After Effects and Premiere. I will show you next week. I need to cross-check that. I usually, even when I use DaVinci, I use mostly After Effects. Then I export and import in DaVinci because I know mostly After Effects. For 3D text, I also use Adobe After Effects on some plugins called Element 3D. But I don't know if we will go to the 3D. I don't think it is so important for live streaming. I mean, we could, but let me see if we can do that later. I'm going to let you know next week how to do that with DaVinci. Right now, I'm showing you with After Effects. So I was on the second layer, interactive tools. You can select the transition you want, or you could create an animation with After Effects. It's the same, all softwares are the same in the way of you always need to put keyframes. So here I am going to click on the arrow of interactive tools. Then I have my position. I want the text to come from the left and to enter and to stop where it is. So here I have the position setting. I'm going to click and create a keyframe here. That keyframe, I'm going to move it to 2 seconds. So right now I have not changed any setting, so meaning that at 2 seconds, my interactive tool text will be at that position. Now at 1 second and 14 frames, I'm going to change my position setting. So you can use your drag and drop, or you can modify, you can double click and put a number as the same with DaVinci. You can put maybe -500 and enter. It's not enough left, so I'm going to put -1000, enter. It's now out of frame and it's already created the animation. Now I go towards the right and I can see, you can see that it's sliding. So I'm going to preview now. I go to window. I want to show you my preview has gone. Okay, it's here. So I'm going to press play. Here it is. So now, if I want to export that, my timeline is 10 seconds. And at the end, there's a blue thing here that you can move. It's your out, your mark out, the same as DaVinci. You can drag and drop it and move it. So we are going to export just 5 seconds. This is the 5 seconds mark. I'm going to move it to 5 seconds. And I'm going to do composition, add to render queue. It creates this render settings output modes module. So I'm going to click on the output, this blue thing here. It shows different options. So our H.264, the same as we use for DaVinci. This is now a bit different because we are going to reuse that title into another software. It is not a final video. So when you export the final video, that's okay to use H.264. But now you want to use a non-destructive setting. So as you don't lose quality, because the more you export a video, the more you lose quality. So if here I export in H.264, I import it in my DaVinci thing, and then again I export in H.264, we are going to lose quality. So we want to use a very high quality setting. So I'm going to go to format option. Sorry, I want to change the format here. So I'm clicking on H.264. So I want to use QuickTime. We're going to select QuickTime. And then here you have format option. I click on it. And you have different settings. If you want to use a good quality, you can do ProRes 422 or ProRes HQ. Is enough. But if you want, remember here, we have a black background on the text. But in fact, the black background can be transparent. We could import that text without background in DaVinci if we want to. Or if we use a normal codec like QuickTime 422 or H.264 or most of the others, we will have a black background with our white letters. If we want to, we can have this black background transparent. For that, I go to my output module. I go to my format options. Sorry, my format here. I select QuickTime. then Format Options, and I select Apple ProRes 444. I click on OK, and here you have in your channels, you can select RGB plus alpha. This is what you're going to select if you want to keep the transparency within your video. So here, I have selected RGB plus alpha. Let's see, if I go to Format Options, I have selected Apple ProRes 444. If I go to another Apple ProRes like 422 LT, I don't have the option of using RGB plus alpha. The only way to have the transparency is when your channels, where you can put RGB plus alpha. So I need that Apple ProRes 4444. I press OK. And then I select channels RGB plus alpha. I press again OK. Then I'm going to select my output. I click here. And I will select lesson 4, then text, RGB, text transparent, lesson 4. I press save, and then I render. I press on render. Here it is, we have exported. I don't save the changes. Okay, let's save the changes in case. Lesson 4 anim. So now I am back to OBS. I'm going to share OBS. Okay. So I am on my split screen here. You can see here, by the way, that I am using 3 cameras. I have the 3/4 camera, the front view, and the side view. Then I have that image here to show the name of the lesson. I'm going to press plus. As you know, I'm going to add a source, and I'm going to add a media source. I'm going to name it lesson 4 anim alpha. I press OK. Then I press browse, and I'm going to import what we have just created, which is here, lesson 4, text transparent, lesson 4. Open, OK. So now you can see that it appears without background. I want to do something. I'm going to click on lesson 4 anim alpha, right click, properties. I'm going to loop it. I press on loop here. I press OK, and I cut and send it. Here we go. I had a creative session with my friends. Let me load the film. It's still a work in progress, but we are getting somewhere with it. You will let me know what you think. Anyone having a question?
Yes, I was asking, when you were recording the water, the sound, is it the original sound when you were recording the water, or you totally created something different and incorporated it in the video?
Yeah, just a minute. I'm going to show you the mic I used.
Okay.
So this is what we call a shotgun microphone, something you can put on top of your camera. It is the original sound of water that I recorded. But then I used Adobe Audition. I usually professionally I use Adobe softwares. So I use After Effects for animation, I use Premiere for editing, and I use Audition to transform the sounds. So what I did, I applied different effects and I isolated some frequencies. I used different filters in Adobe Audition. Then I blend different layers of sounds all together. The creative process was I just stayed 2-3 hours in front of a source. I had, I think I showed you already these filters last time. Some of these filters that can move a bit in real time the fill. Let me remove this split screen thing. So yeah, these filters can add some colors in real time. I didn't apply any effect. These are all real-time recordings. So, and then I played around with the audio. Then I played it back to my friends. They have a small studio and they improvised the bass and drums. So yeah, that was really fun. All right, thank you everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend too.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for today.